Hi everyone, I am Sarka Hojda. I'm going to be your guide today for tax on split income. So as you know, TOSI was passed into law on June 21st of 2018. It completely changes the landscape of the tax on split income. It's no longer just for the under 18s, it now applies to adults as well. So it's a much broader scope than it used to be. It generally applies to income other than a reasonable salary, such as dividends, shareholder benefits, and interest. Generally from income from private corporations, partnerships, or trusts, or related business and rental property. It can also derive from income related to a debt obligation and also from taxable gains or a profit on disposition of a property. So you need to be familiar with what those rules are. There are some exclusions, and you can determine if one of those exclusions applies. There's several resources that you can go to. CRA on their website has a page. Department of Finance has a page that keeps you up to date on the technical information. You can do a search for keywords such as income sprinkling. I also found some quite good TOSI flow charts if you do a search for TOSI flow chart. And then we also have a TOSI help topic on our website. Just quickly, what we're going to cover today is where to enter amounts in TaxCycle that are subject to the tax on split income, how to complete your Form T1206, which would apply if you have a client that has split income, and understanding where all of that data flows inside of TaxCycle. So just quickly, we'll close the presentation. On our website, we do have a article that you can find under. So what I did was I went to search and I just typed in TOSI and this comes up on our website. That's the quickest way to get there. There's also on the Revenue Canada website, they have some guidance on how those split income rules apply for adults, and they have a bunch of examples here that are helpful in determining whether or not split income will apply. And then also Government of Canada, Department of Finance has a technical website here that is also quite useful. So there are several resources that I would recommend you go to, and just make sure you build those processes into your intake with your clients this year so that you can determine whether or not these rules are going to apply. So now we come to TaxCycle. So let's deal with this form. So this is our T1206. We have put on the last couple of pages, if you scroll down, these are the information pages. There's lots of detail here. It's 4 pages long. It goes into all of the items that are subject to tax on split income, what would constitute an exclusion for split income, talks about the definitions here. This is good reading too if you want to dig a bit deeper into how things are going to apply and where they apply. Also, I just wanted to quickly mention too, if you wanted to, by default in TaxCycle, we have this form set up so that if you print it, it will print the form. It will not print the instructions. So if you want to print the instructions, you're going to right click on the form or along the sidebar when it shows up here. You're going to click on print, and along here, you're going to select instruction pages. And then when you print this, it will print those instruction pages along with the form for you. All right, so next we are going to just quickly go over this. So I just want to let you know before we start getting into the details of where things go into TaxCycle, that in this year's version of the T1206, we have added automatic calculations for most of the fields. So that will make your life a whole lot easier when you're dealing with tax on split income. These calculations are happening in the background, and I'll try to show you where they're all flowing to so that you can understand, and if there's any exceptions, you'll know where to go to address those. There is no change in how the dividend tax credit for foreign income is being used in the calculation of TOSI this year, but there is a new addition in that calculation in that now on the federal and provincial, they're allowing the CRA in the provinces are allowing the disability, provincial disability claims to be included in that alternate tax calculation for reducing the TOSI amount owed. So let's get started here. If you go to the info page, this of course is where we're going to be entering all of our primary information, residency, and whether or not our disability amount is going to apply to our particular user. This is just a demo file that I created. It's not real data. And in it, we have our principal, a spouse, and one dependent. So next, I want to go to the dependent tab, and Mr. and Mrs. Jones here have a daughter. We're not going to claim the disability amount, down here. And our daughter, we're going to say, doesn't earn any income. But if we had a daughter that had the disability amount, we're going to want to select yes here. And then we're also going to want to fill in these income fields because these are the fields that we're going to be using if split income applies and and for the transfer of that disability credit. To make life easier, we have added on the T4 slip, when you're entering these, there is a section, sorry, not on the T4 slip. T4 we've entered so that we can show in this file that there is some other income which will not be subject to tax on split income. On the T3 slip related to dividends, we will have a section down here. Under common boxes, we've added a footnote section for tax on split income amounts. So in this case, I've created a fictitious T3 where we have $500 in eligible dividends, other than eligible dividends, and $2,500 in eligible dividends. I'm going to go ahead and say that 100% of these are split income amounts. So I'm going to also put that amount down here to designate these as split income. And you may or may not have noticed that when I did that, this form popped up over here on the side. So now these amounts have automatically triggered that I need to use a T1206 form. So that will show up here for you for easy navigation. So T3, similarly on the T5, we've added a footnote for dividends other than eligible and eligible here. So this is where we'll put our split income dividends that come on a T5. And on the T5013, we have it included down here in the dividend section. So we'll go all the way to investments. You can collapse these sections to make it easier, or we have quick navigation here if you right click, and then you can just select the section that you want to jump down to. So I'm going to close these because we're not using them in our example. So once we've got our T-slips entered, now we want to go to our T1206. I'm going to jump to the very top of the form. And this is the section where, so how I got there was I right-clicked and I went to dispositions on capital because I know that that is at the top of the form. And here we are. This is where we're going to enter our capital gains. We're going to enter the full gain, not the taxable gain. So that's what's going to go in here. And let's say we have let's make it a $10,000 gain that's going to go in here. I'm going to enter that. And it's going to give me a message saying, don't forget to put this on your Schedule 3. So that capital gain also needs to be entered on the Schedule 3. And then if reserves apply, we're going to fill in these boxes here and these ones here, which will create our reserve calculation for you. So, and then if you have any gains that are on a T3 slip, then you would enter those here on line F. So once you've got your capital gains in there, then we can jump down to, so again, right click, I'm going to go down to detail of split income. And in this section, we can see where my T3 dividend is flowing. So here is my other than eligible, and here is my eligible. And you can see also, because my spouse is over the age of 18, it's automatically taken out half of my capital gain, or sorry, it's claiming the taxable portion of the capital gain here, which will be subject to split income. If this was somebody who was under the age of 18, that would become a deemed dividend, and it would calculate up here on line D. And that's where we would see that come in. We've also added here other boxes. So if you happen to have split income that is not coming through on a slip of one form or another, then you can enter that information here for other than eligible, for eligible, if there's any foreign non-business or business income subject to split income, and then one other box for any other amounts that might be applicable. So now let's talk about where does all of that information go? So once we've filled out this form, then a whole bunch of amounts are getting calculated. So we have in part 1 an adjusted net income amount. These amounts are being used to adjust some of the credits that can be claimed. So if we jump down to the federal section, you can see here's our total split income that applies federally. There is an adjusted taxable income amount, which is then used to adjust some of the credits that are subject that are included, and those are all in the instructions. All the ones that are applicable are in those instruction information pages as well. So you can see that the spouse or common law partner amount, the caregiver, the eligible dependent, some of the refundable medical expenses, working income tax benefit, and low income tax reduction and sales tax credit all become affected. So part 2 shows our federal calculations, and then also there's the provincial calculations. So just a quick note here on the provincial calculations, where it comes to a disability tax credit transfer from a dependent, this calculation is using the federal taxable income because we didn't have a really great way this year or as yet to determine the tax rate applicable. So it would only affect people in situations where the full amount of the tax credit is not getting transferred. So this is just one box that you will want to make note to double check if there is a partial transfer to make sure that it's transferring the correct amount. So schedules that are affected is our S4. So our taxable dividend is coming in here. And if we were to enter another, sorry, I'm just going to go to that data entry screen again. If we were to enter another amount here, so say we have another $500 coming in, it's going to calculate. Sorry, these amounts aren't going to go. If we had an amount here in the under 18, this is the amount that would automatically transfer. It's calculated and will automatically transfer to your S4. On the S3, this is where we're going to have to add any taxable capital gains that we're also subject to split income. And we recommend you do that here on the capital gains S3M manager. On the S1, when we have split income, this is where our tax on split income is going to come into on line 424. And then there's a series of calculations. So then we get to our net federal. Provincially, it's similar. We have line, let's navigate to it. So here on line 6151 is your tax on split income, and then the total income will flow down to box 73 at the bottom. Your deductions, I wanted to show here that on your T1, if split income applies, so here under net income, it will transfer the other deductions. So this is the amount here, this 9530 in our file that is subject to split income. It will automatically transfer here and do the adjustment for you in your net income amount. If, however, you enter some other deduction on your deductions form here, it will transfer as a general note to the T1. But that is all handled for you. So that's coming in here. And then I also wanted to show you here on the 5-year provincial summary, we also show this line 6151 tax on split income. So I'm just going to quickly check my notes and make sure I didn't miss anything. I just wanted to also mention to you that on this form, on the 1206, just quickly so that you, if you're playing with this later and you're trying to figure out where everything goes, any box here that has a little blue arrow in it means that there's a hyperlink. So if I double click on that box, it will take me to the source field. So where that information is coming from. So that's a really quick and handy way to figure out where you need to go to get that information and or make adjustments if adjustments are required. Also, any box that has a blue number in it, a 0 or a number, means that that field is being calculated from somewhere else. So these boxes without are edit fields. You can enter what you need to. The other ones, if you wanted to enter something in there, would require an override, which means that data is coming from somewhere else that you've overridden, that the calculation is going to be different. So I think that pretty well wraps up what I wanted to show you today. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic day, and we'll look forward to seeing you again at a future webinar.